Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Listen, it's go time. It really is. The Indiana Fever are back in the building, players reporting to the facility, energy picking up, and you can just feel it. Training camp is right around the corner. Everybody's locked in, everybody's present, and for the first time in a while, it actually feels like we're about to see something real unfold. Now look, we've had our issues with the front office. No need to sugarcoat it. It's been messy, questionable decisions, a lot of debate from fans. That hasn't changed overnight, but here's the thing. Once the ball goes up, none of that matters unless it shows up on the court. And right now, the focus shifts to what we've all been waiting for, a healthy Caitlin Clark stepping back onto the floor with her squad. That's the headline. That's the moment. You see the footage coming out of the facility. Kelsey Mitchell is there, Sophie Cunningham is back, Lexi Hull, KK, all familiar faces, all in the gym, all preparing. And it just hits you, like, yeah, this is real now. This isn't off-season talk anymore. This isn't speculation. This is preparation. And I've got to say, one of the most intriguing pieces here is Monique Billings. Seriously, watch that connection build. We've already seen flashes of chemistry between her and Caitlin Clark in previous runs, especially in that Team USA environment. There's a natural rhythm there, a complementary style that could become a real weapon for Indiana. Billings brings energy, rebounding, defensive presence, things this team desperately needs. And if that sync with Clark continues, that's a problem for the rest of the league. Now, seeing Kelsey Mitchell back in the mix is another big moment. Let's be honest, there were real questions about whether she'd still be here. The uncertainty was loud. But she's back, she's present, and that backcourt dynamic with Clark is still one of the most important storylines heading into the season. If they figure it out consistently, this offense could take a serious leap. You've also got Aaliyah Boston anchoring things, continuing to grow into that cornerstone role. Her development alongside Clark is critical. That inside-out balance, if it clicks, completely changes the ceiling of this team. And yes, Stephanie White is right there in the middle of it all again. Whether you love it or question it, that's the reality. The coaching decisions, rotations, and overall system are going to be under a microscope from day one. There's no hiding from that. But right now, it's about the reset. Training camp is basically here. Media day is coming. Jerseys, interviews, first looks, it's all part of the buildup. And then, just like that, preseason tips off. And before you know it, the regular season is staring us in the face. We're talking just weeks away. Think about everything this team and the fans have gone through. The CBA noise, the free agency moves, the draft frustrations. It's been a roller coaster. But you've made it to the part that actually matters. Basketball. This is where narratives get tested. This is where talk either means something or it doesn't. The Indiana Fever are back. The group is together, and now it's simple. It's time to ball. Now, biggest news. Aaliyah Boston has just signed the biggest contract in WNBA history. Let that sink in for a second. 4 years, $6.3 million, about $1.3 million more than A'ja Wilson's deal. On paper, that's historic. Now, structurally, she's still earning the same annual figure as A'ja Wilson, but the key detail here is the Supermax kicking in for the next 3 seasons. That's where everything changes for the Indiana Fever. And I'm going to be real with you, that's where things get complicated. Because yes, Aaliyah Boston absolutely deserves this contract. There's no debate there. You don't become the cornerstone of a franchise, an all-WNBA level player, and not get paid. She's earned every bit of that money. So from a player perspective, this is a win. Go get your money, always. No one should ever turn down that kind of financial security. But from a team-building perspective, this is tough. This is really tough. When you allocate that level of cap space to one player, the expectations skyrocket. Aaliyah Boston now has to be more than just great. She has to be elite consistently. We're talking perennial all WNBA, legitimate MVP conversations year after year. And to be fair, she has the trajectory to get there. She improved last season, and there's nothing to suggest she won't continue that upward trend. But now, it's not optional, it's required. Now, let's break down the numbers a little bit. She's making around $1 million this year, which is manageable, but the remaining $5.3 million spread across the next 3 seasons puts her at roughly $1.7 million per year. That's a massive chunk of the salary cap. And when you start layering in other contracts, Lexi Hull, Monique Billings, you're quickly looking at a situation where just a handful of players are eating up a huge percentage of your cap space. Even if the cap increases, you're still looking at around 35 to 40% tied up in just 3 players. That's not ideal in a league where depth matters, where rotations are tight, and where injuries can derail everything. And this is where the ripple effect kicks in. Kelsey Mitchell? It becomes very difficult to retain her under the structure. Even if Caitlin Clark were to take a pay cut, and let's be honest, that's a big if, you're still working with very limited flexibility. Realistically, if Aliyah is on a supermax, Caitlin is going to command one too. That's just how the market works. Star players set the bar for each other. So now you're potentially looking at 2 players taking up over a third of your salary cap. That leaves very little room to build out a complete roster. And that's how you end up in a stars and minimums situation. Caitlin, Aliyah, and then a rotation filled with low-cost contracts. That's not a championship formula unless you absolutely nail every other decision. And that's the concern. Because for this to work, the Indiana Fever have to become elite at the margins. They need to scout better than everyone else. They need to identify undervalued talent, find contributors on minimum deals, develop players internally, and maximize every roster spot. That's how teams survive with top-heavy salary structures. But based on what we've seen, that hasn't been their strength. There are already questions about how this front office evaluates talent. The process doesn't always look structured. It doesn't always look data-driven. And when you're committing supermax money, you don't have the luxury of getting those other decisions wrong. Every move has to hit. Otherwise, you're stuck. And that's why this deal, as impressive as it is, raises real concerns about contention. Especially when you look at teams like the Liberty, who are stacking talent and managing their cap strategically. The gap doesn't close, it widens if you're not careful. Now, shifting to Caitlin Clark, this is where things get even more interesting, because her next contract is going to define the direction of this franchise. I don't see her leaving money on the table. I just don't. And she shouldn't. She's going to command a massive deal, whether that's a supermax or something close to it. My expectation? A shorter-term deal. Something like 3 years. That gives her flexibility. It puts pressure on the organization to prove they can build a contender quickly. And if they don't, it gives her an exit. And that's the reality the Fever are facing. You could very realistically see a scenario where Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston run this out together for a few years, evaluate the results, and if it's not working, both move on. That window is not as long as people think. In today's league, stars don't wait forever. So yes, this is a historic deal. Yes, it's well-deserved. And yes, it signals that Aaliyah Boston is the face of the franchise. But it also raises the stakes dramatically. Because now it's not just about talent, it's about execution. It's about roster construction, player development, and organizational competence. And if those pieces don't align, then no matter how great your stars are, it won't be enough. That's where things stand. So shout out to Aaliyah Boston, serious contract, well earned. But for the Indiana Fever, the pressure just went all the way up. Tell me what you think. Don't forget like and subscribe.